Wait for it. Wait for it. Wait for it. It's coming. Climate change. Morning, gang. Happy Wednesday. Now, that's all joke, but you can bet your bottom dollar that some mental midget this morning will scream climate change after last night's events. How many of you had top 10 earthquake in world history on your bingo card? That's what we got last night. 8.8 magnitude earthquake off the coast of Russia. And I know a lot of people would be like, big deal, it's off Russia. Something that big causes tsunamis. And so you had Japan, Hawaii, Alaska, California, Oregon, and Washington under tsunami warnings last night. And they actually got tsunami waves. Now, it wasn't anything huge, at least in the continental U.S. I mean, from the waves hitting overnight, figure that's got to travel a few thousand miles to get there. That moves pretty quick. But the waves they finally hit the West Coast at somewhere around 1.5 feet. Okay. Nothing serious, enough to flood some roads or whatever, some coastal highway, erode some beaches. You had places in in Alaska get hit by a little bigger ones. Hawaii had waves nearly 5 feet. Okay. And these aren't just waves that you go out and play in or surfers are getting on. This is a literal wall of water. Okay. And y'all know the pressure that water can give. See all those stories on water cannons and stuff like that being used by, civilized countries to put down protesters. We don't do that. We're not civilized. We just let them burn buildings. But Hawaii got about a 5-foot wall of water in certain places. Okay. That's dangerous. Depending on where you are, depends on your survivability of it. Where are you paying attention? This happened in the evening on the East Coast, but you figure that was mid-afternoon in Hawaii when the earthquake hit. They had ample daylight time to move, which is good. We see all these storms all the time that hit at night and people are unaware. Think of all the tornadoes, think of Kerrville, anything like that happens in the middle of the night. Fortunately, we had people given ample time to get out. Lots of stories coming out of Hawaii on, oh my God, we were trying to get out on the roads and the roads were jammed. There's stories going around, and I've heard both sides. Hawaii's an island, right? So what are islands? It's surrounded by water, and it's basically a mountain coming out of the water. To get around, you stay in the low-lying areas. You want to get to the high-lying areas. There's one road in this one spot, where we all know Maui, the fires from a few years ago, and how Oprah was so helpful. Yeah, again. There's two ways to get to high ground from the beaches. One is to go all the way around the mountain. So you got to run parallel to the coast for miles. The other way is to cut up to the top. That's Oprah's road. And Oprah wouldn't open her road for people to escape until finally the people pretty much forced their way through, and then she relented and said, oh, okay, people can go by. That's the story out there. How much truth to it, there is probably some, but not all. Okay. I'm just saying this is what's been out in the reporting from people in Hawaii about what's going on. Not listening to the media, not listening to PR people, certainly not listening to any government spokesperson on Maui, okay? But listening to the people who were trying to get out, who owns the property and what they were going through. But did you have tsunami or earthquake on your bingo card? Probably not, okay? Maybe if you live in Hawaii, it's something that you think about. Those on the West Coast, not so much. But did you have earthquake on your bingo card? Now, where this one happened is in the Ring of Fire. Okay, so you got volcanic activity and seismic activity on a fairly regular basis out there. But imagine this happens in the San Andreas Faults, the New Madrid Fault, and there's a big earthquake. Now, the New Madrid Fault is by drive, about 8 hours from me, okay? Not really risking a tsunami from me. Even if you live around, St. Louis or something like that, you're not going to get a tsunami going down the Mississippi River. It ain't big enough. But have you given thought to your escape plan? All of us have different natural disasters we could face. You're on the coast, you face hurricanes. You're in the central part of the country, tornadoes. You're up north, blizzards. Have you ever given thought to your escape plan? Not just your escape route, okay? Sure, everybody says, well, gee, if something happens, I'm going there. Okay, it's a good start. How are you gonna get there? If the roads are flooded out, you're not driving, okay? Certainly not taking your electric vehicle through flooded waters. Your combustion engine ain't going to do any better. Okay. How are you going to get where you want to go? What's your point A? Oh, that one doesn't work. What's your point B? What's your point C? But let's say, what's the route? The Oprah story. I'm going up the hill. No, we're not allowing you to. You have to go around. Oh, crap. What do I do? Have you looked into escape routes? Have you come up with your escape plan? Not just everybody get in the car and go. Everybody grab your bug out bag and go. What if you can't? I mean, where I am here, obviously you guys know the lake is here, and I'm on the side of a mountain, okay? So the terrain is not flat. About a mile up from me, there is a very, very, very low spot where the lake gets, at full lake, okay, is maybe 8 or 10 feet below the level of the road. What TVA for me keeps the lake level at, opening dams and adjusting lake level. The year before we moved here, so I didn't experience this, but I did hear all the stories, obviously, is there was so much rain and so much snow melt and everything coming down that they couldn't drain the lake fast enough. I mean, it's a huge lake, okay, to keep the water from rising. And so that low-lying area there was flooded for days that you couldn't get across. I mean, it was probably only 50 feet wide, okay? But if it's a couple of feet deep, you're not getting your car through it. So you can't get out or you can't get in, at least with your car. Now, sure, a couple of feet deep, you could certainly walk across it, water up to your knees, water up to your waist, whatever. No problem. But that changes your plan altogether. We're hopping in the car and going. No, you're not. Now you can walk. And there's a big difference. Say I wanted to get to the main highway, 8 miles away. I can make that in 15 minutes in my car. It's going to take me a couple hours on a walk. All right. Up and down hills, so probably even a lot more. This is the thing, and I've said this many times. Look at all these disasters that happen and put yourself in that situation. Like I said, the tsunami, not pertinent to most of us. The earthquake, yeah, that could happen to all of us. Y'all know the stories about if Yellowstone blows, everything in the United States, but probably the Atlantic seaboard in New England is pretty much wiped out. Okay. Yeah. Look at these things and go, okay, if an earthquake hit here, and you know what the nearby fault lines are for you, if it hit, do your research. What would be the worst case scenario? And prep for that. If the roads are gone, how do you get out? How are you going to get to a safer area? You're in the city. Good luck. Seeing what the traffic was like yesterday to get out of Maui. Okay, bumper to bumper. People weren't going anywhere. Fortunately, it wasn't the movie Armageddon type tsunami or whatever, where it was 100 feet high. That would cause some major problems. I haven't heard about any casualties yet. That's a good thing. But this is something to wake people up, that things like this can happen. We all get complacent. Oh, it'll never happen here. Until it does. And the people in Hawaii, and the people in California, and the people in Alaska, and Washington, and Oregon, and Japan, and all the small islands in the Pacific had a very interesting night. Very scary night. Because you don't know. Sure, the media ramped it up, as they always do, mountains out of molehills, trying to cause a panic. That's what the media does. I mean, they were calling for 5-foot waves in California. You got 1.5 feet, okay? Nothing like being, overestimating by 3.5 times, okay? That's what they do. They're there for sensationalism and for clicks, not for reporting facts. That's not what the news does. But use this as a learning experience, guys. Something to pay attention to and make you think. Because every one of these things, it could be the tiniest little thing that made you better in your prepping. You might have learned one little thing or remembered one little thing that somebody did. Research it, figure out what worked, what didn't, and adapt it to your own plans. Pinball out.